evening. I call the November 6th, 2024 Apple Valley Planning Commission meeting to order. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Any changes from staff?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we have no changes for you tonight.
Thank you. Any changes from the commissioners? Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
That was by Commissioner Schindler and seconded by Commissioner Scanlon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered routine and will be enacted with a single motion without any discussion unless a commissioner or citizen requests to have any item separately considered. It will then be moved to the land use action items for consideration. Can I get a motion of approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon, seconded by Commissioner Schindler. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Brings us to public hearings, which there are none tonight. So our action items is Orchard Path Phase 3, and that is Sydney Strowing. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Kurtz and Commissioners. Tonight I will be presenting to you the request for site plan and building permit authorization of the third and final phase of Orchard Path Senior Living Facility. Specifically, the request is to allow construction of a 75-unit addition to the existing 255-unit Orchard Path Continuum of Care facility. The existing site is located at 157th Street West and Cobblestone Lake Parkway, just west of Cobblestone Lake. The proposed addition is in the south portion of the existing parcel. The site is within PD 703 Zone 6. The permitted use of a continuum of care facility is a retirement community that provides a range of living opportunities located on one parcel. There are additional requirements for this use, including that no more than 15% of the unit shall be for comprehensive, intensive, or full care living, as well as the density of total units shall not exceed 32 units per acre. The master plan of Orchard Path included all three phases and was reviewed as part of the first phase in 2016. Phase 2 was reviewed and approved in 2021. Phase 3 is generally consistent with what was shown on the master plan. As provided in your packet, the master shows that skilled nursing units were planned for the southern wing of the facility. The petitioner is now requesting for 75 independent living units in this final phase. If there are any questions relating to the change from skilled nursing to independent living, I will let the petitioner assist in answering those questions, but staff sees no concerns in terms of the zoning requirements for this PD. As mentioned on the previous slide, the only requirement pertaining to unit mix is that no more than 15% of the units shall be for comprehensive or full care living. This provision applies to the memory care units. With the final addition of 75 independent living units, only 6% of the units will be for memory care. Additionally, the units per acre will come out to 27 units, which is under the required maximum of 32 units per acre. The addition includes underground and surface parking, a filtration basin, outdoor amenities, and a sidewalk connection to Cobblestone Lake Parkway, just south of the surface parking. The site plan shows a building footprint of 31,366 square feet. The building coverage requirement for this zone is 30%. With the final phase, the building coverage of the total parcel will be 21%. The engineering department has reviewed the proposed grading plan, and their memo is attached in the staff report. For the grading plan, I want to call out the berm and filtration basin, which is located in the southeast portion of the site. The berm located here is required as screening to the residential homes east of the facility as a condition of phase 1 of Orchard Path. A condition for this phase is included in the draft resolution to ensure that the berm remains consistent with what was originally constructed. The berm is proposed to be shifted slightly east in order to make room for this basin. The first submission of the plans showed the berm where the basin is now. The petitioner worked with staff to flip the two, as staff believed this would be preferred and consistent with the original intentions of the berm being used as screening. For utilities, again, engineering has reviewed and their conditions are noted in the draft resolution. Final plans will be reviewed and approved during the building permit application. Oops, I think I skipped utilities. Here we go. Here's the utility plan. Approximately 16 trees will be removed from construction of the new addition, primarily in the location of the berm and filtration basin. 5 trees are proposed to be replanted. Here are the 5 trees, and they are proposed to be replanted just northeast of the new addition. Natural Resources has commented that these trees have been replanted once before during phase 2, and that the health of these trees will be closely monitored. With 16 trees being removed, the proposed landscape plan shows about 54 added trees, as well as a variety of other plantings. The city requires multifamily residential developments to have a minimum landscaping cost of 2.5% of the estimated building construction cost. This requirement will be reviewed and confirmed during the building permit application. Natural Resources has reviewed the landscaping plans, and their comments are provided in the memo in the staff report. The proposed parking for the site includes 75 underground spaces and 48 surface stalls. Both underground and surface parking will be accessed from the existing South Drive. The proposed parking rate exceeds the requirement for independent living units in PD 703. The elevations of the addition show that materials and colors will remain consistent to previous phases of Orchard Path. The materials meet design standards that are included in this plan development. With that, the recommended action for tonight is as shown on the slide. I also have the conditions from the draft resolution in my slides as well, if there are any specific questions for any particular condition. We also have the applicant here tonight, and I can stand for any questions as well.
Thank you, Sydney. Commissioners? Commissioner Pruitt?
As Chair Kurtz. A quick question. I'd appreciate a review. There's comment in the packet of the existing internal trails.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's detail of what already currently exists as well as the suggestion of additional internal trails. A review would be helpful.
Sure.
Please.
Chair Kurtz, Commissioner Pruitt, just to go over briefly, this is the master plan that was included in your packet. It does give an overview of trails that were planned during the planned phases of Orchard Path. This south addition is what we see now is consistent with, in terms of the site plan, with what is shown today. So there is no really internal trails as we see in the previous phases. And again, that's consistent with what was reviewed in 2016, but we just encourage, if possible, in the site to add more to connect this proposed southern wing to the internal trails in this area. Currently, the proposed sidewalk connection runs from the parking lot up to this area of the South Drive. Something that we could see as a suggestion is possibly adding a crosswalk in this area to connect to existing trails that are not necessarily shown here, but there is an existing trail in this area. And then additionally, we did work with the applicant to connect the sidewalk along this driveway to Cobblestone Lake Parkway so that residents could access the Cobblestone neighborhood as a whole. The applicant did note that there is significant topography in this area of the site. So with the demographic of the facility, they are further reviewing if it will be possible to add more trails. And again, we do continue to encourage if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scanlon?
Sydney, couple of questions. How is the drive going to be signage or done to, because that's the entryway for supplies, trash, so forth? That people aren't, because I easily see people driving in there and they're just going to zip down and then they're going to get stuck where they're not supposed to be.
Sure. Chair Kurtz, Commissioner Scanlon, there is a proposed, currently, I believe there's wayfinding signage for deliveries at the existing site that is proposed to be demolished, and a new monument sign in this area, I have it highlighted, will be to direct residents, as well as this is also the access to the underground parking and then deliveries as well. We don't have any proposed plans for the monument sign, so I don't know the exact wayfinding terminology that will be on there. But in terms of turnaround, I just wanted to note that there is this turnaround space for deliveries, emergency vehicles, as well as if someone happens to go down that driveway and they didn't mean to.
Okay. Just seems there needs to be some additional signage to just prevent that,
Right.
to try to minimize that at all possibilities.
Okay. Signage will be reviewed under a separate permit, but if you'd feel more comfortable, we could recommend that as an additional condition to the
You
draft
would, please.
resolution. Okay.
And then I'm also going to question how close the drive is to the Cobblestone Lake Parkway. That you basically come off the parkway and then directly into the parking lot.
I'm just going to pull up a better slide to get a better understanding. So our Commissioner Scanlon, is your worry where this parking
Yes.
lot access is?
Yes, that it's so close to the parkway entrance.
Okay. So access spacing is reviewed by the engineering department. So far, we haven't heard any concerns. Evan, I believe it's been reviewed.
Sure.
And
Madam
then
Chair,
speak to that.
Commissioner, we did review the access spacing here. Generally, what we would look for, initially, this was kind of preliminarily reviewed in 2016, was it, when the original Phase 1 came through? Secondarily, one of the key factors, or what we would evaluate, is the potential for stacking or conflict to cause a stack into a public roadway. We
Correct.
don't feel that's the case here. So generally, we're okay with what's proposed here, as it's consistent with what's been proposed previously.
Good.
Okay. Then the additional questions I have is with the berm and then the holding pond. What is going to be the height between the berm and then the bottom of the,
I will
is it they're
read it.
continuous in one?
I know the berm is conditioned in Phase 1 to be
Right.
at an elevation of 936, and I've kept that, staff has kept that condition so that it remains consistent with what was originally approved. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't have the top of my head the difference between the basin and the berm. To point out additionally, though, currently there isn't significant planting located on the current berm. So for additional screening, there will be a line of evergreen trees on top of the berm for additional year-round screening.
And then my question is driving after a safety concern with kids in the neighborhood within Cobblestone and having a height difference
Okay.
there. Ultimately, I'd like to see the drainage pond go under the parking lot, because I think that would be the best way of handling it. And the issue I have with those is right now, the neighbor across the street in the apartments, they don't maintain the drainage holding area, and it looks terrible right now during the summer
Okay.
months. And, how is that going to be taken care of if it goes through like this here?
Okay.
So I think there's probably a better way of handling that than the way this is currently set up. That's a concern that I have when I initially looked at this, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners' questions? Would any commissioner like the applicant to come up? Any questions for them?
Please.
Okay, applicant? Maybe they can,
Hi, my name is John Fletcher. I'm with Presbyterian Senior Homes, 2845 Hamlin Avenue North in Roseville, Minnesota.
thank you.
Thanks for considering our project.
Sure. Any questions, commissioners? Do you have questions?
Yeah.
Commissioner Scanlon?
I had a couple of questions. As a continuum of care facility, that it doesn't appear that you're doing anything with transitional type care
That's correct.
or hospice care or anything in as far as your rehabilitation type care associated with this facility?
I wouldn't say that's correct, actually. So those are very broad, different types of care that's provided.
Correct, they are.
Hospice care can be provided
Yes.
within independent living and assisted living, and memory
Okay,
care can be
all right.
provided in independent homes.
Okay.
Rehabilitative care can be provided for all levels of residents. We do provide rehab therapy within the community. Transitional care
Within this facility or outside of the facility?
within the facility. Yep.
Okay, all right,
Transitional care is more like post-acute care with folks being discharged from hospitals.
correct,
Average length of stay, 10 to 14 days.
yes.
We do not have that kind of licensure for this community, so that is not provided here.
Is that something you were looking at doing?
Not for here, no.
Okay, and where would those facilities within your system be available?
Yeah, any community that has like a skilled nursing licensure is where that would fall. And our closest skilled nursing community here would be in Cottage Grove. That's our Norris Square community.
That, I find that concerning, that you're having a facility like this and that component is not there for this population that is, you know, you're going in for hip replacement or knee replacement, that you can't stay within your home or you're in your same facility that you're determining as continuous care.
Yeah, if you could help me understand your concern, I mean,
Well, they have to go to an outside facility. They can't be in their home facility where their neighbors are, friends are, staff.
a lot of post-acute care is provided in the home. It's just whether or not it's a licensed care facility. So Presbyterian Homes has almost 12,000 apartment homes within our system. We have one community of 50 beds in Roseville that's licensed for transitional care. So just for context, 50 out of 12,000. It's not a super common offering that's provided in general. If you do have skilled nursing, you can set aside a certain number of beds or have beds that are kind of swing beds that would allow for transitional care. I think you might be thinking of something slightly different than.
No, I'm thinking about transitional care.
Correct. It's not typically offered in this type of community anywhere
St. Therese does in Woodbury.
with the skilled nursing component. Correct. There's no skilled nursing here.
Yeah.
Yep. And part of the reason that we're transitioning away from skilled nursing at this particular community is between availability of staffing, increased regulatory, limited funding that's available for covering those costs. It's not a viable offering any longer.
So then our community is kind of getting put where it's not having those services available to within a reasonable distance for
Yep.
our,
I appreciate your
Residents.
comments. I think what I would just ask respectfully is that we're here for a land use application as opposed to,
well, I'm trying to understand the whole use of the facility because I've been here from the very beginning, from the start of this project. So,
yeah, the continuum of care that we're offering is the independent living, assisted and memory care. And it has rehabilitative care as a part of it within our rehab therapy that's outpatient as opposed to inpatient. And then hospice care, which is inpatient and outpatient as well.
okay,
Yep.
all right.
My mother had a swing bed after her hip replacement, and she had to be in the hospital for it. So, you know,
It's tough.
it
There's
is
a
tough, 'cause
limited,
I
there's a
remember
very
trying to
limited
find a
number of
place
beds.
for her. Yeah,
Yeah, very limited number of beds.
totally understand, yeah.
They're very difficult to staff. Even for us, the beds that we do have, they're not an economic driver, which is fine. We're a nonprofit. We don't need them to be an economic driver. But at the same time, you know, across our system, we probably have about 250 beds or so that would qualify for that. But we only have one site that has dedicated beds.
Sure, sure. Well, obviously, you haven't had it before, and you're doing, obviously, you need more room, right?
We typically run, we're a little overbuilt on assisted living, but in this community, we run between 96 and 99%.
Okay, okay,
And so on the independent living, we're typically 100% occupied.
wow,
So the demand is very high.
yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome. Any other commissioners have any questions for the applicant? No? Okay, thank you. Any more questions for Sydney? If not, do I have a motion from anyone?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve
Site plan and building permit authorization to allow for construction of a 75-unit addition to the existing 255-unit Orchard Path Continuum of Care facility on the property located at 5400 157th Street West.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made was by Commissioner Pruitt, and it was seconded by Commissioner Schindler. Do we have any discussion? If not,
I
you
have
do?
a question.
Okay.
I think we have some question, I have some questions that I'd like to see answered before we go forward, but if that's not the consent of everybody, I'm fine with that, but, because we don't normally do these on the same night, so.
If we add that to the conditions, that one? Please,
Proceed.
I'm happy to answer those questions directly if you'd like.
No, that's, go ahead, and I'll.
Sharon, did you?
Madam Chair, yes, this is a land use
You're right.
item. It's not a public hearing, so you would
Right.
normally act on the same night.
Okay,
But certainly if you ask questions and they're willing to answer.
Okay.
If it's related to land use, yes.
okay, thank you, Sharon. Any more questions you want to ask, Commissioner? Okay, okay,
I noticed in the packet, there's the action requested makes specific reference to the conditions listed in the draft resolution. Should that be part of the recommendation? There's a difference between what's on our screen and what's
on the,
Sure.
in our packet.
Sorry, Chair Kurtz, Commissioner Mahold's, apologies that wasn't included in this action. If, Sharon, if they want to direct their action to the conditions on the slides listed 1 through 20, I believe that would be a suitable action to make.
Correct.
that's good? Okay. So do you want to add that?
Yes. Would you like me to start over with
Start
it?
all over.
How about I go from the packet?
Sure.
I would recommend approval of a site plan building permit authorization to allow for construction of a 75-unit addition to the existing 255-unit Orchard Path Continuum of Care facility on the property located at 5400 157th Street West and legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Presbyterian Homes at Cobblestone Lake, subject to the conditions 1 through 20 listed in the draft resolution.
Second.
Okay, again, that was motion by Commissioner Pruitt and second by Commissioner Schindler. Any discussions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay?
Motion carries. I have a staff light. Did you want me to? No? Okay. Okay, so approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to other business. Mr. Tim Benetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to remind you, our next meeting is for Wednesday, November 20th. We do have one item scheduled for that night. That will be a sketch plan review for a proposed fast food restaurant with drive-through services. Our next meeting after that is December 4th, and our council on November 12th, which is a Tuesday next week, and Tuesday, November 26th. Those Tuesday meetings were created, number one, by the election last night, and the second one was due to a conflict with a conference that's going on during that week as well. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them, and have a good weekend.
You too. And congratulations to the new city council people
Yes.
that were elected. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon, seconded by Commissioner Schindler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.